Trevs Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. It's too sweet. Anyway, continue with retired numbers. And not only are we tackling the first jersey retired in Los Angeles, we're tackling the first goaltender in all the numbers I've covered to date. So why not, right? If we can knock two firsts out of the park, let's do that. So having said that, we're going to talk about the first number retired by the Kings. Number 30, Rogie Vachon. Let's talk about it. So our tale starts, or Vachon's career in LA starts relatively close to the beginning of the 71-72 season. After only playing one game in Montreal, and one game that season, his career did initially start with Montreal, but we'll cover that eventually. After losing one game in the season, and essentially losing the starting job to some kid named Ken Dryden, who I guarantee we will talk about at some point, Vachon was traded after he demanded a trade, along with the option to swap first-round picks in the 1975 entry draft from the Canadiens to the Kings for Dennis DeJordy, Dale Hodgson, Neil Price, Doug Robinson, as well as the option to swap picks in the 1975 draft. After 6 years with the Canadiens and 3 Stanley Cups, Vachon went on to become the starter for the Kings. However, the 71-72 Kings weren't exactly known as a dominant team, as the Kings only finished 1 point out of last overall in the league, with Vachon giving a career low in wins with 6 to go with his 18 losses and 3 ties that season. 72-73 didn't fare any better, as the Kings missed the playoffs yet again. They did manage to finish higher in the standings, though, and Vachon seemed to have started to find his groove in LA, putting up a 22-20-10 record in 52 games played with 4 shutouts. 72-73 season, though, will be the last time the Kings missed the playoffs with Vachon in net. 73-74 saw the Kings improve greatly, managing to finish 3rd in the West Division and advance to the playoffs. In 65 of the 78 games played by the Kings, Vachon put up a 28-26-10 record with 5 shutouts. So definitely a vast improvement. But as nice as a winning season was, Vachon and the Kings were a quick first-round exit, losing in 4 straight. For 1974-75, this season found the NHL making some divisional changes, mostly in that there were now 4 divisions instead of 2. So this meant that the Kings were moved to the new Norris division, which, ironically enough, was the same division the Canadiens were placed in, which basically meant for every other team in that division that they were fighting for spot number 2, because the Canadiens, around 74-75 were nothing to sneeze at. So if you managed to beat the Canadiens that season, you were lucky, or any of the seasons following that. So every team in that division was fighting for at least one of the 2 remaining playoff spots, which the Kings managed to get. Vachon putting up an amazing year with 27 wins, 14 losses, 13 ties in 54 games with 6 shutouts. However, as the story seems to go, the playoffs results would stay the same, as Vachon put up a 1-2 record in the preliminary round. All told, though, it wasn't a bad year for Vachon. He was named to the 2nd NHL All-Star team and even nominated for the Vezina Trophy, which is awarded to Best Goaltender of the Year. 1975-76 was another good year for Vachon, putting up a 26-20-5 record in 51 games with 5 shutouts. The Kings did make the playoffs again and even made it past the preliminary round, only losing the quarterfinals. But in 7 playoff games, Vachon put up a 4-3 record, including his only playoff shutout in LA. 76-77 was what could be called a career year for Vachon, as in the 68 games he played, he put up a career-best 33 wins to go with his 23 losses and 12 ties, a career-best 8 shutouts. pretty damn good year. In one game this season, it was even a tease of an idea that Vachon was this close to being credited with a goal, or the first goaltender to be credited with a goal. In a game against the Islanders managed to score on themselves during a delayed penalty call. And initially it was thought that Vachon was the last King to touch the puck, whereas the rule is, last player, if a team is scoring on their own net, last player of the opposing team is credited with the goal. But upon video review, it showed Vachon was the second last King to touch the puck. So the goal was instead awarded to Vic Vinesky. In the playoffs, Vachon put up a 4-5 record in 9 games played. 5 playoff losses are also a career high. Well, who wants to remember the losses as a career high, right? But at the end of the season, Vachon was again named to the second NHL All-Star team. The 1977-78 season, though, would end up being Vachon's last with the Kings. And one could say it was a mixed bag of a season. In a career-high 70 games played, Vachon put up a 29, 27, and 13 record with 4 shutouts. Kings made the playoffs once again, however, much like the earlier playoff spots in Vachon's early days with the Kings, the team was out in 2 straight in the preliminary round. With his contract with the Kings coming up to an end at the season, Vachon decided not to re-sign with the Kings and instead took his talents to Hockeytown to essentially begin the close of his career. And that is where the tale of Vachon's 7-year career in LA ends. So let's go over some stats and accomplishments if you want. In 389 games played with the Kings, his record of 171, 148, and 66 with 32 shutouts, which at the time he left was a team record in games played, minutes played, and career losses, all of which have been surpassed, except for the ties. Ties is a record he still shares with Kelly Rudy. All told, it was a .901 save percentage and a 2.65 goals against average. His playoff stats, on the other hand, weren't necessarily so great. 25 games played, 9 wins, 16 losses, 1 shutout, with a .890 save percentage and a 3.10 goals against. All told, though, he represented the Kings twice at the All-Star game, a 2-time second-team NHL All-Star. He was nominated to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2016, and on February 14th, good old Valentine's Day, 1985, he was the first Kings player to have his number retired, as the number 30 now sits in the rafters. Let's discuss some more. Now, while I never got to see Vachon play in my lifetime, I at least got to see him on YouTube replays. And I know it's not the same, but nothing changes on replay. Still, great reflexes. Still a good glove hand. He's considered by many to be one of the premier one-on-one goalies of his era. And you got to remember, his era was a lot of goal scoring. So if he was one of the greatest one-on-one goalies, that's saying a lot. Never allowed a goal on a penalty shot in his entire career. So that's something you could definitely hold on to for a very long time. All told, probably one of the best goaltenders the Kings ever had before guys like Rudy and Quick came along. But the fact that he held records for the team as long as he did, as far as games played, minutes played, that's a great thing. It's good to see him still hold a team record for ties, knowing that until they institute ties again, that'll probably never ever be broken. But we'll see, time will tell, right? Either way, that was the tale of the first number retired in LA. So that was another one of Trev's Hockey Shows. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you're at this point. It's a great thing for both of us. So while you're here, hit that thumbs up. While you're at it, if you haven't done so already, that red button that says subscribe all over it, hit it. Stay up to date with all the content I'm putting out. Which, I'm not gonna lie, now that I'm scheduling myself, it's gonna be quite a bit, as long as I keep the focus. But either way, social is in the description down below. Moving forward for retired numbers, I got one more I'm finishing up. One more I have to finish up, but that won't be ready. That won't be needed till March. So all told, I got about 4 or 5 that I've started, and one that I really should be finishing sometime soon. It's going to take a long time to make, but I'm going to do it anyway. But either way, in the meantime, and in between time, be looking for more videos from the Trev. Later.